This is what you call a pressure cooker. You have 8th in GWS, 5 and 5, 11th for the Blues. They are 4 and 6. Both really needing a win to really keep the 8 alive. Both been massively inconsistent, and both come into this game knowing a loss here will put them behind the 8 ball with fixtures coming up. Carlton, they let another one slip last week, dominated for 3 quarters only to lose in the 4th. 5 losses this season after leading at half-time. GWS outclassed, outmatched by Fremantle. They've lost 4 of the last 5, and this is a venue where they haven't done well in their last 7. It's Toby Green's 250th. It's got narrative juice poured all over it. And Carlton have launched a debut with a young son of who is becoming a Carlton legend off-field in Harry O'Farrell. Let's run that intro and get straight into it. So when we look at the tail of the tape, as we always do, you'll see their points for Carlton with 80.7. They're 12th versus GWS, who have got 84.1. They sit the 8th best scoring side. Carlton's defence this year has been nothing short of remarkable at times. They are currently 2nd in the league, only conceding 75.6 points per game. GWS been impressive themselves, 78.3 for them. They sit 5th in the ladder. When we look at contested possessions, we know the Blues really dominate around this. Plus 9.9 their differential. They're the best side in the league in this metric. Versus GWS, negative 1.5. They're 13th. They like to play on the outside. They're more hungry in that avenue. Disposal efficiency, Carlton are the worst using side in the competition. Versus the 7th best side with 73.2%. Inside 50s, Carlton generate the 4th most, 55.5, versus the 5th least in GWS, 49.9. Differential, Carlton are the 3rd best side with almost matching ins and outs. They're 15th, GWS. The difference is huge there. And shots at goal per inside 50, Carlton the worst side in the league at generating a shot at goal versus the 3rd best side in GWS. And scoring efficiency, Carlton are the worst team at getting a score from them limited amount of shots they do create. They had ranked dead last for that stat versus the 3rd best in GWS. So when we look at the market inside 50 numbers, this is where it even paints less of a picture for the Blues. Only 20.4% of Carlton's inside 50s are marked versus 21.6, which is 10th. Carlton are 12th in scores from turnover, 44.1 versus the 10th best side. And forward half-time, Carlton have a staggering 52.5% of the game is played where the Blues want it versus 10th for GWS, only 46.5% of the time. So what do these stats mean? Tell me, Pommy, I can hear you telling me from your TV. Well, it basically means the Blues thrive in the contest. They do pretty well in territory as well. And when they bring the pressure, it's incredibly good. It breaks down, though, at that final phase, that 3rd kick, that last kick inside 50. They do generate a lot of inside 50s, but genuinely, they are wasted and they are either turned over or kicked with no intent at all. The Blues don't change the angles very often. It's very, 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 very easy, and that's why they are so strong around stoppage, clearance and places like that, because they've got to create repeat stoppages. It's almost contested brutality versus beautiful surgical ball use. And GWS are the opposite. If you play what Carlton do against GWS, invariably you win. You saw this with Fremantle. Stop the ball moving on the outside, GG's. But GWS like to play football. They like to play a free-flowing brand. They like to get it outside. And this is the inconsistency of both sides. One method is really hard labour. The other one requires little labour, but means you don't like the labour. So this is a real myriad of styles. You've got 2 coaches who wear 2 tight tops and show off their biceps, and they really showcase how they want the game played. For the Blues, the fix is quite simple, and we'll come on to that in a minute. And for GWS, it is as well. It's really a case for both of these lists to buck up, wise up, and really make hay of the talent they have on the list. Let's look at some of the key matchups when we go into this game. The first one is obvious, isn't it? Jesse Hogan versus Jacob Weitering. Mr. Structure versus Mr. Goal Scorer. Weitering averages a staggering 7.6 intercepts. That's third best in the league, and 4.9 spoils a game. Where Jesse Hogan has kicked 26 goals in his 7 games this year, averaging just under 4 marks inside 50. Weitering is Carlton's best intercept defender and best lockdown defender. However, that has changed with another guy we're going to talk about pretty soon in the intercept game. But Hogan's form has been cracking. He had a very quiet game the other week, but he is the focal point of this attack. If Weitering can stop this gentleman taking marks, with O'Farrell and Haynes playing with him as the secondary tools, Carlton can dominate. If Hogan fires, Carlton already have a breakdown where they're going to have to play the double up, which they have done in against Thilthorpe a couple of weeks ago, and we saw how bad that happened. Weitering doesn't want to get himself pegged back at fullback. He wants to be able to trust Farrell and Haynes that when Hogan does go goal hanging, they can take him, and Weitering can lurk in that hot zone that he likes to do between centre half-back and fullback. The backline breebs when Weitering breebs. George Hewitt versus Tom Green. You've got the wily old man versus the young buck, and Hewitt has had a very, very good year. 28.9 touches, 7.3 first possessions from stoppage and clearance, 7.1 clearances, and 339 metres gained versus his adversary here, Tom Green, 32.2 touches, 10 first possessions, 6.8 clearances, 448.4 metres gained. Hewitt has become Carlton's main inside outlet. He's not just been a volume winner, he's been getting the ball there first and getting the ball out there on the outside. Carlton here will be looking to overrun Green and win this battle first. We know Finn Callaghan here, it makes it a lot easier for Hewitt in this avenue where he knows where the big danger's coming from, right in the eyes. They ain't going to fling that shift. Green will play inside and try and control that chaos. He wants to get that ball won with pure grunt and get it out there. This will be a real good test of Carlton's midfield coach, Tim Clark, because if you can get Tom Green working on the outside of that stoppage and use your ruck or another player to block him to your defensive side, that is what Fremantle did, and that's what a lot of teams have done with GWS. If you want some examples of this, go back and watch what Peatling did to him against Adelaide. It was an absolute masterclass of trying to drag him where he doesn't want to go. And that is where his skill is. He wants contact. He wants bodies. That's what he does. This is going to be a really intriguing battle here between two guys who are probably in the best forms of their careers. TDK versus Briggs, the around-the-battleground battle. TDK, 31.2 hit outs to advantage, 4.2 score launches, 8.7 first possessions. He's Carlton's leading first possession ball winner versus Kieran Briggs, 27 hit outs to advantage, only the 2 score launches, 4.6 first possessions. Now, these are the matchups that TDK doesn't like. Briggs is a wrecking ball, but last week you saw how Fremantle negated him. TDK is more agile, a better link-up player. He acts as the extra midfielder, and he is really the metronome of how fast that midfield moves. This battle will dictate field position. Carlton will expect stoppage dominance and centre clearance dominance, and they'll expect TDK to damage him around the ball. This is where TDK wants to take him to Kieran Briggs' defensive side and really, really look to work him into the ground. Carlton have a luxury here that genuinely, when we go through that exit down the left wing from D50, when TDK plays, that is who's going to be on him, Briggs. And in the air, TDK should destroy him. This is a real match winner. Whoever owns the stoppage and around the ground will control the tempo and particularly the outlet ball. And then we've got the pressure plug versus the playmaker, Whitfield versus Fogarty. Lockie Fogarty returns, and this year he's been quieter than normal, but he's still got some ominous stats. 2.3 tackles inside 50 for 4 score involvements a game versus Whitfield, who has 521 metres gained and 4.7 intercepts. He is often the glue, Fogarty, that kind of holds it together, almost playing a pseudo-tag crumbing pressure type role, and he did some real good jobs before he got injured. Whitfield is without a shadow of a doubt GWS's ball movement metronome. If he gets 25 touches, the rebound he will get from halfback will be insane, and Carlton will be chasing shadows. Carlton did a good job on Nick Blakey last week for 3 quarters. Fogg's got to shut Whitfield down, because this is a massive task, because if he finds rhythm, there will be massive impact. And finally, Nick Haynes versus Toby Green. The old guard, the old friends. Haynes averages just under 7 intercepts with 4.71 percenters. Green, 18 goals in 10 games, 7.3 score involvements in match 250. They know each other well. They have done this on training many a times. Haynes' experience and calmness will be vital in knowing how Toby Green works. This is a traditional matchup. We saw it last week with Heaney, where Carlton go off the boil, a forward who can ghost into the midfield. The pressure is on Haynes here to really understand the intrinsic nature of how Toby Green plays, and know when to peel off, to know when it was a dummy, and just let it happen. Now let's look at the tactics and game style. Now Carlton's field position first, polish second. They are elite around the stoppage and clearances. We know that. They're elite in the congestion, contested possession beast. And when they bring the forward pressure, it is top tier. They live inside 50, one of the best sides at getting forward half-time. But that inside 50 connection and that half-back to midfield connection is poor, resulting in the worst disposal efficiency in the league, 17th shot quality and 18th in scoring efficiency. Carlton traditionally like this when it becomes a dirty game and scrappy. They want stoppage after stoppage, tackle after tackle. Where they falter is in that composure, and when they resort to dumping long kicks, going slow, no width through delivery, and no spread. So the fix here for the Blues is working out when to go quick and when to go slow, and we see that in game. It almost feels disjointed. Some players are going quick play on footy, some aren't. Sometimes we have a 2.4 kick to handball ratio, sometimes it's about 1.3. We know when Carlton are at that 1.4 mark, that's when it's good. So you've got to try and open up that second kick. You've got to try and use the players that are in there at half forward to do it. Now, we've no Elijah there and Cooper Lord in the form. Are they going to use Cooper Lord this week as that half forward runner? Or is there a simpler plan? Let Lewis Young stay deep, which will then allow Mackay and Curnow to stagger, and one of them will come from the pocket position. If Charlie Curnow plays like Jeremy Cameron from the forward pocket, working up the wing, that allows Harry to control centre-half forward, and Young always have one of their backmen having to stay at fullback. If Carlton then can create that space between centre-half-back, forward, and centre-half-back, fullback for them, so Taylor's here, Himmelberg's here, Carlton have got some room to work in, and Charlie Curnow can work in between them spaces, but more importantly, people can start ghosting forward. They play with Buckley, Taylor and Himmelberg. So if Young goes full forward, his aim is to try and block and be almost a defensive tag on their interceptors. And that allows Carlton to deploy one of their bigger midfielders into the forward 50. This kind of mirrors what Geelong do. They create space and then this plays the little smalls inside. But Charlie is a very, very good kick inside 50. So I can see Carlton using Jackson Binns, Cooper Lord and Curnow with Walsh floating on cross half forward to create that extra kick. And I think Charlie Curnow, working on that 45 degree, can then help Carlton either go for a pocket lead or cut it back inside and really start to work the zone of GWS. And that's what teams have done. That's what teams have done. Now let's look at GWS. Clean chains, corridor, class, but soft under heat. Carlton were really good at closing the corridor for 3 quarters. And this is why you've got to do it. They're a very decent side, very good side, GWS, with disposal efficiency, and particularly the amount of times they hit the mid of the ground, the corridor. They're third in shots at goal per entry, 14th stoppage differential there, and they are the 4th best side going from the back half, from a D50 to an I50. They're slick, they're fast, and when they get it, they're big. But the problem is when you make them earn it, they fade. Carlton, if they can close the corridor, they're going to have to close the corridor, though, in a way that isn't deceptive. So in the first half at Carlton last week, they did this just traditionally with the midfielders and pushing the first exit out of D50 that isn't a corridor, made them go down the wing. So then the midfield do it. Carlton sometimes get too reactive and pull their half forwards into the midfield, which then leaves it really easy to hit the corridor as early as possible. Carlton have got to force boundary chains. They've got to make sure that they hold position and go, we will concede it 300 times down the left wing, but we're not conceding it in the central spaces. You do that, you stop their run, you stop that overlap. And let's look at the debutant, Harry O'Farrell, player 1,247, the boyhood blue, the intercept king. He's making his debut and it doesn't come as a surprise. 6.3 marks in VFL. He's been very strong. He was a match winner versus Geelong. And last week, he was absolutely sensational in the air, showcasing his intercept, but also his closing speed and his defensive smarts. With no Jack Silvani there, this is going to be a very important structural role, and one that I think Harry O'Farrell will do for 300 games for the Blues. It allows Weitering to roam, Haynes to go aerial, and McGovern to play incredibly loose. So the forward half 50s really here, the system has to work. Kick to the 45, let Curnow roam, anchor Young deep to drag Taylor out of position, creating leading lanes for Mackay to centre half forward, allowing Cripps to ghost from the midfield into the forward line, and allowing the smalls to have space in the gaps they've created. Carlton have the personnel to fix the structural issue. It can't be talent-based, though. The Blues have got to do it. This is going to be an absolute great game. This is a test of belief, a test of system, a test of players, and a test of mental fortitude, a test to show the club can grow. They have threatened to play good football, and while the defensive numbers are good, the attacking and the ball use is that issue, and that will only improve if the Carlton start to use their handball more and start to really make some structural changes and stick to one plan, not multiple in-game. For years, these are the games that Carlton lose. It's against the wall. It's against a desperate team. If they lose this, questions are going to be immediately everywhere. The fix is in front of them. All they've got to do is attack their structure, play with clarity, play with communication, because GWS are vulnerable. It's time to bury the reputation of being an abject failure all the time and prove that they can do this. And this is the game that would be huge for them to win, because coming off the break, anything can happen after the bye. I've been PommyInOz. Please do me a favour, like and subscribe. We're nearly at 8,000. Can't wait to see you this weekend. Pom out.